welcome back to the Good Business podcast. Thank you for joining us for another episode. My name is Danny and I'm your podcast host today, and I'm joined with Donnie McLoud, who is the owner of Macleods Organics. And thank you so much for coming on today and for joining us. We're out in the orchards. It's a bit of a different one today, but we're really looking forward to it. So thank you for coming on, Donnie.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and I hope we'll have an interesting chat.
Yeah, I think so. We've already had an apple and everything, so that was very good.
Reading the trees, yeah.
Exactly. So McLoud Organics is a family firm and you focus on delivering organic food to your customers. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how this all came about, Donnie? So how did you get into the business? And I know we talked a little bit before we were recording about why organic was so important to you. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, if you look back at my background, I come from the island of Raasay, which is from a crofting background. And being brought up in a croft, of course, like yourself, you understand how to work with natural systems, to work within nature, and that you had to look after the environment you were in, and you also had to look after the community that you were in, and how fragile it was, that everything is like a spider's web, and if you actually break something within that web, it destroys other parts of it. And if you consider yourselves to be part of that web, then you actually break something in the web of life that you will be destroying yourself, rather than actually just with the web around you. That includes the community, the environment, and everything round about. I mean, that was the old crofting systems. Which now have changed. As a realization, when I got older, I remember reading a book in the early 70s called Silent Spring by a woman called Rachel Carson from America, where Silent Spring was that if we continued doing what we were doing with regards to food and the environment, that there would be no birds making any noise in the spring. And that's why it's called Silent Spring, of course. And that was to do with chemicals and pesticides and herbicides and the stuff that's been used on farmland. Also, the understanding that how bad the supermarkets were in actually not making any space for the small farmers or crofters who could produce food. I had a career in financial services, and of course we moved from Raasay to Glenelg on a croft in Glenelg, and then from there to Glenmorrison, and then my parents moved to Ardeshir in the 1980s. And my father was more crofting here, really. But I used to I worked in financial services, and in 1998, I came back to the family farm here, and I said, well, because of my background, I was also a Greenpeace activist. We used to do a lot of trying to change the world for the better. And when I came back here, I thought, right, I'm going to start producing food here, and we're going to farm in a different way. So we'll farm organically, and we'll create a box scheme, because at that time box schemes were just starting. And we set up a stall in Inverness and set up the first farmers market in Inverness, and said, were anybody interested in a box scheme? And we got 30 people who were actually interested in doing it. So we started the box scheme then, and bringing organic produce in from other organic growers from the Central Belt as well, to supplement what we were doing here. And at the same time said that trying to encourage people on small farms and crofts to actually start producing organic food up here for us. And that there would be always a marketplace for them. If you create the marketplace, then you can grow for the marketplace. So the last 24 years now, we've got it guaranteed that there will not be any organic produce grown in the Highlands which goes to waste, because the customers buy into the system,
Yeah.
and that creates the marketplace there for the growers to grow to. And that's what we've done, you know, but we've evolved through different evolutions, and one of the things that was bad for the box scheme was, because in a box scheme, you take what you're given.
Yeah.
You take what is available
Yeah.
at that time, and that's grown, and you will accept that. So you're eating seasonally what's there. But then we're involved in many different environmental campaigns, and one of the campaigns was to get people to grow more of their own food. So people, you know, with encourage allotments, encourage people to grow stuff in gardens and waste ground, anywhere where you can grow food, so you're not dependent on bringing it in from far away. And that actually was detrimental to the box scheme, because where people started growing their own, they didn't want to buy the same stuff. So you then need to start working out systems of how you can allow people to have choices in their box scheme and say, I don't need this and I don't need that.
I suppose that was quite important from a business perspective.
From a business perspective, because the people that were starting to grow your own and starting to try to grow their own was our customers.
Yeah.
So you had to adapt the box scheme then, and we thought, well, let's carry swap box in the van where people can swap stuff, you know, that they want. They've got stuff growing and they do that. So that worked, first of all, and then we tried emails, you know, with sending emails back and forth and saying, but people, that was disastrous. People don't read their emails. So we ended up anyway then going online. You know, where people could actually choose what goes in their own boxes.
And was that kind of like a key flagship moment for the business, kind of moving online? Did you reach more customers?
That was a big flagship then. Because
how did you find that? Was it quite an easy step to go, or were you?
No, the easy step. It's an easy step to go, but it's a hard step to cope with.
Yeah. Because
once you go online, you open up to a completely new marketplace.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, we were actually servicing a niche market. I can always remember an old man from the Soil Association who was one of our certification officers, and he said, the best advice I can give you is your marketplace is very small. It's about 3% of the population that know the issues and actually will actually always want to buy organic food, and will avoid the plastic that they're getting in the supermarkets. So that is quite a niche marketplace, but it's about 3% of the population. But 3% is pretty big. And he says, and the best advice I can give you is ignore the other 97%, because they'll just give you problems.
Well, I suppose it's knowing your customer, wasn't it? And like really working down your niche. So your niche was organic.
Yeah, so the 3% actually it was easy to market to, because they knew the issues and they would find you.
Yeah.
You know, so
you had an informed customer.
You had an informed customer there that actually would come, and as long as you look after your customer and keep them, we've got some customers that have been with us since 1998.
Wow.
You know,
and that's when the business started.
And actually some customers whose children at that time are now customers, you know, who have said, we've been eating organic food for the whole of our life since we were born, because that was what our parents bought, the stuff from McLoud Organics. But as you say, when we went onto the internet, it actually opened up a completely different ball game. Yeah. And then of course we got the pandemic, and the pandemic was very difficult for us, because we decided that when we got all the staff together and said, will we go on furlough or will we keep going? And the customers all said, definitely keep going.
Yeah.
And the staff said, we'll keep going. So we worked right through the pandemic and supplying our customers. But
You had to kind of change.
when March happened, we got flooded with people wanting organic deliveries from all over the country, even from London and from places.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a nightmare. So we shut down the internet and said, got to shut it down. But we keep delivering to our regular customers, and had and used emails and things with our existing customers, and kept delivering to them right throughout. And also we took on other customers as well who would be in touch and say, oh well, because of this or whatever, we're working in the NHS and doing all sorts of things. So we worked right through the pandemic, and that actually had, well, after a few months, we decided we'd open the website, and within 2 hours there were 6,000 hits on it.
Oh my goodness.
So we thought, shut it down again, shut it down again, quick. So we had to shut it down, and then I think it was when Nathan in the office came up with a suggestion, let's open it with a password. Yeah, and that worked.
Okay, yeah.
So we sent the password out to all our customers, and they were able to access the website. The important thing is that we kept our customers happy.
Yeah.
With it, and the customers really did appreciate it, and they still appreciate it.
Good. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing something right for sure. If you're keeping people for generations of customers, that's quite the achievement. It really is. You were talking a little bit about your employees in your business, and I suppose what comes across really strongly to me is just how the principles that stand behind your business and how much they mean to you. How do you drive that vision with your employees?
Well, we employ people that have that vision. That's the best thing.
And do you find that's quite easy to do, or is it very...
We know our people,
Yeah.
and we know our customers, and it's a very personalised thing.
Sometimes businesses will have to say, well, we have to educate our customer to what we're about. I suppose with you, they're coming to you because they're educated in what they want to find. So what are some of the key products and services that McLeod Organics are offering its customers?
We've actually we are now in a position where we operate 52 weeks of the year, and we have a full range of produce on the website, which you can do all your shopping on. We still like the concept of the boxes, but we can do your full shopping. We have sources now. We have with suppliers for all the organic stuff that you need, and it's not wrapped in plastic. We do fruit, and we do veg, and we do dairy, and we have a dairy at the other end of the village with a very good cheese and very good organic cheese and organic milk. We do bread from Fintorn, and we do all the larder stuff from Suma with Cooperative and Highland Whole Foods. And so there is almost anything on the website, and if there's products that any of our customers want, we will get them for them. And one of the reasons why we started doing it was originally the concept was with the box scheme was that you would eat seasonally. But a lot of people don't eat seasonally now.
No.
It's gone. People want lemons all the year round. So I thought, right, if you're wanting lemons, all the year round, then we should supply lemons all the year round. Because people are going to go to the supermarket and get their lemons instead of having them delivered with their box. And we know where they're all coming from, and they're all fully certified by the Soil Association, even from all over the world.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the certification process? Like how does that happen? What happens? How do you get certified as organic?
The important thing is about organic certification is that there is a rule book that everybody has to follow. Now, organic is a legal term across the world. You're not allowed to sell organic produce unless you follow these rules and that it's certified and inspected by a relevant body.
Yeah.
So they have the International Federation of Organic rules, then you have the European rules, and then you have the UK Register of Organic Food Standards.
Yeah.
And there's a few bodies that are allowed to do them. Now, the most respected in the world is the Soil Association.
Yeah.
And the Soil Association symbol is recognised everywhere.
Yeah.
On the, we've been registered with the Soil Association for over 20 years here. Now, so we get inspected every year. So every year the inspector will come and spend a day, and who will actually select maybe a product and say how many went out, you know, on that week, and where did it come from. We have to hold in the office the organic certificate of that producer, and that they're certified to be a supplier for us. We have to have the certificate on file. Everything that goes out from us has to be recorded, you know, as where it went and where it came from. So even stuff from the farm here will have to be registered going into the stock system, and the certification on it.
Yeah.
There. And if it doesn't tally, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. And you've not been in trouble?
We've not been, we had almost a bit of trouble about 15 years ago. And it was because one of when we got an inspection, they inspected cabbages in 1 week. And we had 800 cabbages went out, and we only had 400 coming in certified. And so the inspector had to come in and say, we've got a problem. You're non-compliant. And we worked out what it was, and it was that Derek, one of our growers down in near Perth, he had been growing cabbages for us, but because they were small, he doubled them up.
Oh. So he was just trying to do a good service for you.
He gave us 800 cabbages instead of 400 cabbages, which was nice of him.
Yes.
But when they were being recorded as going out, they went out as 800. Because the packers, you know, the one cabbage was a cabbage, but it was a very small one. You know, we just thought, well, they're small this week.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
So he was just trying to do a good deed.
So we had to get Derek to sign a thing to say he had done it, you know. and then we got that was an almost non-compliance.
Yeah, nearly.
Other than that, and our inspections have all gone very well.
Good. So I'm super nosy, okay, so I would really love, and I'm sure our listeners, we ask this of every business, but could you tell us something about your business that maybe people wouldn't necessarily know? We're looking for deep, dark secrets.
Everything we produce is 100%, everything we supply is 100% organic. We work a very strict system of production, which means that if it is grown in the Highlands organically, that's what people get first.
Yeah.
If it's not grown in the Highlands organically, not available there, then we go to the rest of Scotland.
Yeah.
If it's not available in Scotland, then we'll go to the rest of the UK. If it's not available in the UK, then we'll go to Europe. And if it's not available in Europe, we'll go to the rest of the world. But we will supply every week of the year a full range of products.
It's quite something. I mean, I would have ignorantly have thought it would have been seasonal and just what you could do here. So to hear it's like pretty much international is quite something. Some
organic businesses will supply just what they grow themselves. and then maybe do 6 months of the year or whatever. But I always argued against that and said, well, you're not really looking after your customers.
Yeah.
Because what's your customer going to do? Are they going to starve for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Or are you saying, I want you to come and buy what I've grown on there, but then you can go wherever you want and go to the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly. You've hit it the nail on the head, because so many of your customers, if they couldn't get it, like there's so much choice at a supermarket all year round that you could get products from. So it's quite incredible to hear that you're able to supply all year round. That's something I wouldn't have known about your business. So it would be something our readers, our listeners, wouldn't know either. So you were talking a little bit about the pandemic being a particularly challenging moment in the business for you, but I wonder if there's anything else or any other moments that you would say were particularly challenging in the business for you as you've kind of continued along the years.
Well, the biggest challenge, which is current, which is that I'm getting pretty old. So I'm 75 now, and in the succession planning, I had thought that I would hand the business over to my son. But we lost my son a few years ago.
Oh,
he passed away, and so I thought, well, what kind of legacy will I leave, for the business? And then thought, well, there are 3 groups who are dependent on the business going forward. There is the customers. We have about 1,500 customers who would be devastated if we didn't continue doing what we're doing. Then we have the staff who have been with us a long time. I mean, like Nathan, one of our employees there, has been with us since he left school 20 years ago. And we have the third group is the growers, the producers there. So all 3 groups are dependent on there. So currently we are setting up what's called a multi-stakeholder cooperative, where instead of us, to allow me to retire back to just growing the stuff here and be a supplier to the cooperative, but there isn't one in Scotland at the moment. So we'll be the first multi-stakeholder cooperative. There's plenty of cooperatives who are consumer co-ops, and there is employee co-ops, worker co-ops, and there is business co-ops who will cooperate together. But actually, to have a complete system where you have all 3 of them working together, 3 groups, is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of doing that at the moment. We've got a steering group set up, and they've split into 4 subgroups, one looking at finance, one looking at the Constitution, one looking at marketing, and one looking at personnel.
Yeah.
So in an hour and a half's time, we'll be finalising the Constitution one. The Constitution one's been the most interesting of all, a 36-page Constitution.
Oh gosh, that'll be fun to go through.
A cooperative is designed not for the benefit of shareholders, but for the benefit of the members. And it's the principle is 1 member, 1 vote.
Yeah.
So even if you've got a lot of shares in the business or whatever, or you've got a lot of investment in it, you only have the 1 vote on it. So, but to be a multi-stakeholder one, we need to organise it so that each group cannot override the other groups.
Yeah.
So when we write the Constitution, we need to make sure that in order to change the Constitution, you need 75% vote. So that means that 1 group can't be overridden by the other 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Because all 3 groups have to work together.
Yeah.
And they're all dependent on each other.
That's really interesting.
The thing is that if the public were fully educated with the benefits to the environment, to people's health, to the future, everybody would buy organic food and they wouldn't buy it in the supermarkets. And that would change the whole country. The market is very different to other ones because and the organic movement, we all know everybody that's growing in the organic movement knows each other. We all know each other. We always, pass produce back and forth and say, right, I've got surplus this, whatever. It's not that it's such a big organisation, and as I say, if it's 3% of the public, if that goes to 6%, that doubles the whole marketplace. We did a survey way back early on about who our customers were. I thought our customers, guessed anyway, in our original marketing plan was that our main customers would be in the Crown area of Inverness and the West End of Nairn, the areas with most money. But then when I did a survey after being about 3 or 4 years in around our customers to see who they were and why they were buying the stuff, it wasn't these areas. It was cottages with the hard places to get out to. It was a top floor of flats. It was in in places where you wouldn't expect organic customers to be. But it's because their priorities are different. And then when you actually looked at what they did, you know what our number one category was?
What was it?
Have a guess. Of customer.
Oh, gosh. By area or?
No, person.
By
people.
Person. Well, what are you talking about? Demographics? Male, female, or?
Demographics and their situations.
I'm going to say women.
Half right.
Okay.
Which women?
Which women? I don't know, maybe young women?
Mothers of young children.
Yeah.
Mothers with babies. That was our number one category.
That's what
and
I
you
would
could
think.
understand exactly why.
Because they care about what they're feeding
They care about what they're feeding their baby, and the thing is they also know that a young baby can't stand a load of chemicals coming in their food. And that's why baby food is, you see it's nearly all organic now, on there. And that was our number one category was mothers of young children.
What?
Who do you think the second category was?
Older men?
No.
No?
No, it was people who worked for environmental bodies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who knew the issues, on there. People who worked for Historic Scotland.
People who were informed.
Who were informed. And the third group, people who work in the NHS.
Yeah.
Doctors and nurses.
Yeah. So quite an informed kind of group there.
Fourth group was people who were ill with cancer. Was the doctor's patients. And it was people, so that was people that actually had, knew these issues.
Yeah.
On it.
Knew the importance of them.
But the big one now is plastic.
Yeah.
Is that people are aware that if they buy organic food in the supermarket, they'll find it's wrapped in plastic. The reason it's wrapped in plastic is because the supermarket isn't certified to actually sell organic food.
Yeah.
They have to wrap it in plastic. It has to be separately wrapped because under the rules for organics, you're not allowed to sell organic food unless there is either physical separation or time separation on it. And that's a certification process. So people want to avoid that, they can go on the website and order from McLoud Organics.
Yeah. So, Donnie, what advice would you give to other business owners who were looking to build a strong team and maintain a values-driven approach to their work? Because I know you talked a little bit about your customers here, and obviously sustainable values and organic values are really, really important to your business. So what kind of practices do you kind of foster in your team, or what advice would you give to other business owners?
Many businesses look at customer satisfaction. They call it customer satisfaction or customer care. But the important thing is that if you can get customer delight and actually foster, a culture of customer delight, then you will have customers who will never leave you.
So how do you get customer delight? What's the recipe for that?
Is to overperform to what their expectations are.
Okay. Yeah, that's your secret then.
I can remember doing a training course for how to make a veg box look nice.
Yeah, because I suppose it's all
Like
about appearance
it's
too.
about an art. There's an artistry
Uh-huh.
to it. If you actually, you take your box, you put your dirty stuff in one end, you put your other stuff in the end. You're painting a picture.
Mm-hmm.
You actually look and say, right, you get the colours right. You know, you have like a Van Gogh or whatever, and you get the colours right and you put it there. Actually, part of the pleasure of food is also sight.
Yeah.
And if it looks good, that's how your master chefs or whatever, they know how to paint a picture on a plate.
Mm-hmm. So you're an artist as well as a business owner and all these other jack
I
of
think
trades too.
chefs in particular the good chefs are all artists.
Yeah.
And the good food producers are also artists. And real farmers are artists.
Oh well, there you go.
I remember doing a talk to school kids, the preschool kids, you know, and getting them all sitting on the floor and trying to educate them to say where their food comes from. So I took a box and with them some different foodstuffs and then I had pictures, you know, of different things, you know, like a polytunnel, a field, and a cow, and a chicken, and things, and then saying to them all, where does this come from? And take an egg, and then say, do you get it from this cow? No, it's a chicken, you know. And they would tell you where to put it into which box, you know, where it comes from. And that was really good fun doing that with the kids, and you get them there. And I actually then said to the kids then, can any of you tell me any food that doesn't need a farmer? And they came up with chocolate. No, wait a minute, what's in chocolate? You've got milk, so you need a dairy farmer. You've got chocolate, you've got cocoa, you've got eggs, you've got all the you need lots of farmers to make chocolate. And I'll say, oh well, but other things. And then they say, right, you need for all kinds of food, you need a farmer. Or somebody who's going to grow it for you, to produce it. So what would happen if you didn't have any farmers? And kids all say, we'd have no food. And then what would happen if you had no food? And this wee boy says, we'd all die. I says, well, you'd better be good every time you see a farmer. You'd better be nice to him.
You've heard it here first, folks. Always appreciate your farmers.
Always appreciate your farmer, because the thing is that if you didn't have a farmer, you wouldn't have the food.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, that kind of leads in nicely to my next question, which would be, you know, if there was a young person who was wanting to start a career in this business area, what would your advice be to them?
Become a farmer.
Become a farmer.
And become an artist.
How easy is it though? If you were a young person and you're like, okay, I want to do organic farming, like where do they go? What's the first thing that they should do?
Right. This is a real big question. You know, now you come into land reform, and you're coming into all sorts of things, issues where you know, land is important.
Yeah.
On there, and one of the objects of the cooperative, when putting in this constitution, which we'll be doing shortly, is that the cooperative will try to expand organic food production across Scotland. And one of the projects that we would like to take forward is that to take renting out all the old walled gardens that are in Scotland. There is thousands of walled gardens in these old places, which are ideal for growing good quality food, and they're going to waste at the moment. And what we would like to do is to take these walled gardens and get young farmers in there producing food.
That's a great idea. Because a lot of it is the land, as you say. A lot of them have to rent. They're tenants of the land rather than.
Well, and also the thing is that you have all these the crofts that are there. As the small farmers, the small farm holdings have been amalgamated into bigger farm holdings. No, they remove the hedges, they remove all the things, they become monoculture things, all driven by the supermarkets.
Yeah.
Because they want to have things bigger and more production. But it's all over the world. It has shown that more food is produced if you've got small farmers producing it. Small farmers and allotments and people who are doing it, and you can produce a lot of food from very little ground. You don't need an awful lot of ground.
Yeah.
But most of the ground is now geared towards production for the supermarkets. And the problem, the people that's responsible for that is the consumers who are going into supermarkets and buying the products.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's quite incredible. I think there's an opportunity for people to really start thinking about where they get their food from, and I love the whole principle behind your business. You'll know your customers are probably more likely to be driven by a commitment to making purchasing decisions that have a positive social, economic and environmental impact. And a lot of what you've talked about there kind of ties in with that. But I wonder if you want to tell us a bit more about what your team is doing to meet the demands of conscious consumerism in the business.
Well, I mean, conscious consumerism is a lovely term. And I would say that our customers are conscious consumers. Mm-hmm. The big current issues are the environment, wildlife, and the future of humanity. Mm-hmm. And the second big one is plastics. The conscious consumers are actually saying we don't want stuff packaged, in the way that it is.
So do you not package anything when you deliver to your customers? How do you?
A good example is a banana. Mm-hmm. Right? A banana has got a skin.
Yeah.
It's got a package on it already.
Yeah.
So why put plastic around a banana?
Beats me.
And why go and buy bananas in a supermarket that are packaged in a bit of plastic? That's conscious consumerism.
How do you deliver to your customers then of that? Do you do it in boxes, like cardboard boxes? What's the drive behind it so you're not using plastic?
We reuse everything. Mm-hmm. So reusing is more beneficial than recycling even.
Yeah.
If you can reuse things, you reuse all boxes, and our customers hand them back to us the next time.
Yeah.
If they don't hand it back, I'll say to them, "Where's your old box? I want it." And therefore, the boxes can be reused thousands of times. Mm-hmm. You just take the box, it gets packed with the stuff in it, mm-hmm. and if we were needing to use recyclable bags, plastic bags for putting salads in and things, customers wash it and give it back to us, and we reuse it again.
Yeah, yeah. I think people are kind of scared to use it now, isn't it? Yeah, it is simple, and it's how it used to be back in the day as well. Yeah. That's what my grandparents used to do. And you had a milk bottle, you'd put the bottle back out, and that was it. Put the bottle
back out, and that's it.
Aye.
You get it's not rocket science,
no,
as they say.
It's just got lost along the years. So how has the demand for organic produce changed over the years, and how has McLeod Organics adapted to meeting those evolving needs?
I don't think the demand has changed over the years. I think the demand is still the same, and their main thing is try to meet the demands of the consumer.
It does seem that people are more interested and alert to organic now, though.
I don't know. I wouldn't say in general terms that people are. Okay. I think people were probably more aware of organic in the past. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of confusion about labels. You get told all this different labels and different things, and the confusion between organic and local is very, very much to the fore, and it has been for a long time. Mm-hmm. The big one that has changed is the plastics.
Yeah, definitely seems to be more of a focus on that.
We know that is almost a continent of plastics floating around in the oceans.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, people are aware of that because they're there, and the environmental issues. But they were always there. They were there 20, 30 years ago. I remember campaigning on environmental issues. You know.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about how the business has gone through the years, Donnie, and kind of touched a wee bit on what you're wanting for the future. But I wonder if you could tell us a little bit or give us a wee bit of insider gossip. What's next for the business, and what area of your business do you think has the most potential for growth? We've obviously walked around here today, and it's quite a big bit of land, so looks like there's potential for growth in it.
Well, it's when the multi-stakeholder cooperative is what we will be doing in the future, involving the customers, and that cooperative will be the way forward to drive the business forward, but also to make sure it is sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, with it.
So that's always going to be at the heart of
always
this
going to be
business.
at the heart of the business is sustainability.
I feel so informed about. I'm definitely going to be thinking. I'm not going to a supermarket after this for my shop. But can you tell us, this is your time to plug your business. How can, if any of our listeners want to get in touch or buy some produce off you, how can they get in touch with you?
They go on the website, it's MacleodsOrganics.scot, and order products.
So thank you for joining us for another episode of the Good Business podcast. We're all about getting to the heart of good business with people like Donnie, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode.